Hey everyone! So today we're going to talk about the brain. The human brain is one of the most remarkable creations of all time. It's so complex and unique that we have yet to understand how it functions in its totality. The brain is the control center of our lives. It plays a significant role in everything that we do. The entire basis of how we think, behave, and perceive the world is a direct result of the memories, emotions, and experiences we've had throughout our lives that are stored in our brains, within the subconscious mind to be specific. Now, while we don't know everything there is to know about how the brain functions quite yet, some known facts were left out of your school books that are critical and so important for you to know and understand. Because once you do, you will start to understand why you are the way you are and how to change that if you want to. We can't control everything in life, but we can learn how to regulate our brains to function in a way that's consistent with what we truly want out of life, rather than settling for things that we don't want. So the two main parts of the brain we'll be discussing are the conscious and the subconscious minds. Let's start with the conscious mind. So your conscious mind is your awareness watching this video right now. It reasons, thinks, and takes in all of your experiences and decides what you like and don't like based on your self-concept of who you believe you are. Now, your subconscious mind is what creates and perpetuates your self-concept, and it does this by using a summation of all of your past experiences and events, since that's all you've had to go on to determine your behaviors, beliefs, feelings, emotions, choices, and ways of life. And it takes in all of this information, stores it permanently, and then creates patterns based off of that information acquired by the conscious mind that are in line with your self-concept. These patterns play on automatic loops in the subconscious mind, where homeostasis is practiced, which is the state of steady internal, physical, and chemical conditions maintained by living systems. This is the condition of optimal functioning for the organism, in this case, you are the organism, and includes many variables such as body temperature, fluid balance, and being kept with certain preset limits, along with other habitual functions being performed here that you don't consciously control, like breathing, blood circulation, etc. It creates these patterns and practices homeostasis to keep you alive and acting in line with your self-concept without having to consciously intervene to do so. Everyone has a program, and the goal of the subconscious mind is to keep you sticking to your program, because if you don't have a story or program about who you are and why you are, who would you be? Now, here's where things get complicated. So the subconscious mind, where your programs and patterns are stored, merely obeys the conscious mind, in the sense that it doesn't reason or think, it believes and perpetuates exactly what the conscious mind interprets, exactly as it interprets it. The problem with that is your conscious mind's memory recall is suspect, and its discernment isn't perfect. It can misunderstand people, situations, and experiences. And since your subconscious is the perpetuation of your self-concept, if misinformation repeatedly slips through the conscious mind, this would mean that your subconscious would store false information about you or the world and other people around you, that would in turn create false patterns that would now be ingrained in your self-concept, tainting it and possibly deceiving you on the world around you, who you really are and what you're really capable of, without you even being aware of it. You'd be surprised by how incredibly frequent this happens to all of us, especially since most of our perceptions, behaviors, ways of living, and self-image are programs stored and set in place by the age of 10, which is also tricky because at that age and before that age, you don't have the wisdom that comes with experience, which you need to guard your subconscious against creating unwanted or false patterns. This means the way your parents and immediate environment raised you or acted around you programmed your perceptions and self-concept before you had a chance to truly discern right from wrong or what was right for you. Because as children, we are made to follow, listen to, and heed to adults, regardless of their behaviors or opinions that don't align with our own. So let's use an example to demonstrate how subconscious programming works. So let's say Charlie is 8 and a child of divorce. Charlie lives with his mom and sees his dad on weekends. As another Friday rolls around, Charlie prepares to go to his dad's, but his dad doesn't show up. His dad hasn't done this before, so while Charlie is confused, he brushes it off. The next weekend rolls around and still no communication from Dad, which is abnormal, but Charlie expects to go to Dad's this weekend anyway. But once again, Dad doesn't show up. Dad calls Charlie and apologizes and promises to do better and see him soon. So another weekend passes and Dad doesn't show. Dad calls and apologizes again, and Charlie says it's okay, but internally, he's starting to doubt his dad. and he's starting to doubt his dad's love for him. So he starts to beat himself up, blaming himself for his dad not being around. He keeps asking himself, what did I do wrong? Why doesn't he want to see me? Why doesn't he love me anymore? His self-esteem is suffering, and he starts to believe that he's not good enough for his dad, or good enough, period. Fast forward 8 years. Charlie is now 16, and his dad has barely been in his life all of this time, and no one has ever given him an answer as to why that is. But one day, Charlie's mom gets a call from a hospital. His dad had been admitted, so they rush there, and as they pull up, Charlie notices it's not a regular hospital. It's a rehab center. Charlie's mom then turns to him and says, I'm sorry for never telling you this, I just didn't know how to. But your father's been addicted to drugs for the past 8 years. Charlie is floored. His mind starts spiraling with all of these questions. Why didn't you tell me? Why wasn't I more important than the drugs? But reluctantly, Charlie still wants to see his dad. When Charlie steps in the room and sees his dad, small and frail, with hurt and regret in his eyes, he finally understands. It had nothing to do with Charlie at all, or how much Charlie's dad loved him. His dad was dealing with battles all his own that had nothing to do with him. But no one explaining the truth of the situation to Charlie as a child led him to draw his own false conclusions that he wasn't good enough for his dad, and that's why he wasn't around, and he repeatedly perpetuated that false line of thought for 8 years. And even though Charlie sees the truth now, he still has an 8-year-old ingrained false pattern in his subconscious mind that tells him that he isn't good enough, because that's the pattern he repeatedly kept wiring over and over again. Understanding the truth now doesn't automatically change your subconscious thoughts and patterns. You have to rewire a new pattern to do that, which I'll shed more light on a bit later. Another example of false information getting through and subconsciously affecting you is the reason why we all strive and feel pressure to reach and maintain the current standards of beauty, success, and ways of life set before us by society, because we are constantly programmed to, by repeatedly experiencing the demands to reach these standards, by school, bills, social media, TV programs, movies, magazines, billboards, etc. Anything you repeatedly hear, do, or experience is programming you to continue to believe and do those things, even if it's detrimental to you. Whatever goes through to your subconscious mind goes into creating patterns and programs that encompass your self-concept, who you believe you are, regardless of if it's true or not. Most of us are subconsciously living our lives to please society rather than living to please our own authenticity, because we are quite literally programmed to do so. Now, the only way you can break a pattern or program is by breaking the habit of the old connection, by rewiring a new connection in reaction to the situation, and rewiring that connection repeatedly to create a new, stronger pattern that eventually overpowers the old one. This means you have to consistently think and act differently in a way that aligns with the new beliefs, behaviors, and patterns you'd like to create. This is also the reason positive affirmations can be so effective in helping you to change your life, because it's a repeated activity that literally wires your brain in a more positive way. Now, I know all of that seems like a lot to take in, but all it comes down to is that our subconscious mind is the unseen perpetuator of all of our behaviors. It plays one of the biggest, if not the biggest, roles in our lives. If you don't create and wire patterns that are in line with who you want to be, you're reducing yourself to the created patterns of your past experiences, all the traumas and things that have happened to you, and your brain will play out those patterns on autopilot within your subconscious mind, which affect your behaviors in current reality. It is by no means easy to create new patterns. It takes awareness, understanding, and honesty to confront what's been holding you back and why those behaviors are there. And it takes so much strength and courage to fight to change those things, especially because you've become comfortable with them. Even though they may make you unhappy, comfort tends to win us back every time because of those stored programs, unless we are truly ready to intervene and change them. If you don't program your mind yourself, it will be subconsciously programmed by society for you. The brain and the body is such a complex system, and not understanding how it works is like receiving your license without ever taking a permit test. To become a successful driver, you must learn how to drive the car. To become an authentically successful person, you must learn how to drive your brain and how to drive it into the lane you want it to go, not just the one you've been given or been going in all this time. I hope this video helped to give you an insight into how your brain works and how to make it work best for you. As always, keep an open mind, do your own research, and think for yourself. Sending so much love.